The first note appeared on a Tuesday. Malik Washington had just returned from his late shift at the campus library, his muscles aching from hauling boxes of books. His '08 Honda Civic, meticulously maintained despite its age, sat parked along the curb in front of his apartment building, right where he'd left it. Or so he thought. As he approached the driver's side, something white fluttered under the windshield wiper. At first, he assumed it was a parking ticket, though he knew he hadn't violated any rules. But when he pulled the slip of paper free, the words punched him in the gut. "This isn't the ghetto. Park like a civilized person or get towed." No signature. Just jagged, angry handwriting in blue ballpoint ink. Malik exhaled sharply, his fingers tightening around the paper. He glanced around the quiet suburban street, manicured lawns, porch swings, not a single other car parked at an angle. His Honda was perfectly aligned with the curb. Then what the hell is this about? He found out the next morning. Malik was heading to his 8 a.m. sociology lecture when he noticed a man in a faded polo shirt standing on the porch of the house directly across from his parking spot. The man, mid-50s, salt and pepper buzz cut, arms crossed, watched Malik with the intensity of a hawk tracking prey. Malik hesitated, then raised a hand in a half-wave. The man didn't wave back. Instead, he called out, "You live here?" Malik blinked. "Yeah. Apartment 3B. The man's lip curled. "Humph. Well, this street has standards." He nodded toward Malik's car. "We don't leave junkers parked overnight." Malik's stomach twisted. His Civic wasn't new, but it was clean, with no dents or peeling paint. Junker. Before he could respond, the man, Doug Malik would later learn from a neighbor, turned and disappeared inside, the screen door slamming behind him. The notes kept coming. Thursday, take your trash elsewhere. Saturday, no loitering. This isn't a parking lot. Left when Malik sat in his car for 5 minutes checking his phone. Monday, a torn piece of notebook paper with just 2 words, know your place. Malik started parking farther down the street, but Doug's hostility followed. The man would water his lawn just as Malik walked by, accidentally spraying his shoes. He'd stare from his window, arms crossed, if Malik had friends over. His roommate, Javier, shook his head as Malik showed him the latest note. "Dude's a fossil. Just ignore him." But Malik couldn't shake the unease. Then came the morning his key wouldn't turn in the driver's side door. Malik frowned, jiggling the key. It took him 3 tries to realize. The lock's jammed. He crouched, peering at the keyhole. Something glinted inside. Graphite. Glue. And then he saw it. Etched into the paint of his driver's side door, shallow but unmistakable. The word glared up at him in the morning sun, the scratches fresh enough to show bare metal beneath the black paint. Malik's hands trembled. He pulled out his phone and took a picture. Then another. And another. Evidence. The officer at the precinct sighed as he typed. "You think it was this Doug guy?" Malik clenched his jaw. "He's been harassing me for weeks." "Any proof it's him?" Malik slid his phone across the counter, photos of every note, dated and time-stamped. The officer scrolled, then shrugged. "Without video of him doing the damage, it's your word against his." Malik leaned forward. "So what? I'm just supposed to take it." The officer held up his hands. "I'll file the report. But get a camera." Malik left with a case number and a simmering rage. On his way out, he stopped at Best Buy. The dashcam was small enough that Doug wouldn't notice it tucked behind the rearview mirror. But its night vision was crystal clear, and its motion sensor activated the second anyone got within 5 feet of the car. Malik installed it that afternoon, his fingers steady despite the anger still coiled in his chest. The first alert came at 3:17 a.m. Malik's phone buzzed violently on his nightstand, the motion detection alarm from his dashcam shattering the silence. He fumbled for the device, heart pounding as he squinted at the live feed glowing on the screen. A figure in a dark hoodie stood beside his Civic, their face obscured, but the build, the way they moved, was unmistakable. "Doug." Malik held his breath as the figure pulled something from their pocket. A metallic glint caught the streetlight. A key. The hooded figure leaned down and... Screech. The audio picked up the unmistakable sound of metal scraping paint as Doug dragged the key along Malik's passenger side door. Malik's stomach turned. He zoomed in just as the figure stepped back to admire their work, pushing the hood back slightly. The camera captured every detail. Doug's salt and pepper stubble. The self-satisfied smirk twisting his lips. The fresh, jagged letters now carved into Malik's car, "Go home." Then, as if sensing he was being watched, Doug suddenly looked up, directly into the dashcam lens. His expression morphed from smug to horrified in an instant. Malik was already out of bed and pulling on a hoodie when his phone rang. It was Javier, voice thick with sleep. "Dude, you seeing this shit?" "Oh, I'm seeing it," Malik said, shoving his feet into sneakers. "Call the cops." "I'm going outside." Malik burst through the apartment complex doors just as Doug was scurrying back across the street. "Hey!" Malik shouted, his voice echoing through the quiet neighborhood. "Yeah, you. We got you on camera this time, old man." Doug froze halfway up his driveway. When he turned, his face was pale under the porch light. "I don't know what you're—" "Save it," Malik spat, holding up his phone where the paused video clearly showed Doug's face. 3 months of notes. 2 vandalisms. It ends tonight. Sirens wailed in the distance. Doug's eyes darted toward the sound, then back to Malik. For a second, Malik thought the man might run. Then something hardened in Doug's expression. "You little shit," Doug hissed, taking a step forward. "You think you can just move in here and—" Headlights cut through the dark as 2 police cruisers screeched to a halt in front of the house. Officer Gutierrez, a no-nonsense Latina woman who'd taken Malik's initial report, scrolled through the footage with her partner. "Clear as day," she muttered. Doug sat on his porch steps, cuffed, while his wife sobbed inside the house. "It's just a prank," Doug insisted. "Kids do worse every Halloween." Gutierrez raised an eyebrow at the fresh vandalism. "This look like toilet paper to you?" Malik handed over his phone. "There's more. Check the timestamp from 2 weeks ago." The officers watched as the night vision footage showed Doug jamming something into Malik's door lock. "Graphite powder," Malik explained. "Meant to jam the mechanism." That's when he carved the other word. Gutierrez's jaw tightened. She turned to Doug. "You're being charged with felony vandalism, destruction of property, and—" She paused, glancing at Malik. "We'll let the DA decide about hate crime enhancements." Doug's wife wailed from the doorway. At the precinct, Malik sat across from the detective assigned to his case. "Mr. Washington," the detective said, steepling his fingers, "the DA's office wants to offer Doug a plea deal. 2 years probation, anger management courses, and restitution for all damages." Malik leaned back. "That's it." The detective sighed. "First offense. But—" He slid a paper across the table. "There's a condition. He has to attend and complete an anti-racism workshop series. 6 months, weekly sessions." Malik studied the document. The workshop was run by a local black-led community organization. He imagined Doug, red-faced and squirming through sensitivity training. A slow smile spread across his face. "I'll take it." Malik was buffing out the last of the repair scratches, paid for by Doug's insurance, when a shadow fell across his car. Doug stood there, looking thinner, his hands shoved in his pockets. Malik straightened slowly. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Doug cleared his throat. "Workshop's done," he muttered. Malik waited. Doug's jaw worked before he forced out, "I was wrong." He turned to leave, then paused. They're making me volunteer there." "At the center." Malik nodded. "Good." As Doug shuffled away, Javier appeared, tossing Malik a soda. "Damn. That was almost a real apology." Malik popped the tab, watching Doug disappear around the corner. "It's a start." He ran a hand over his Civic's freshly restored paint, smooth, unblemished, gleaming in the sun. The certified letter arrived on a Tuesday morning, the same day Malik was scheduled to speak at the community center. He nearly missed seeing it, tucked between grocery flyers and credit card offers. The return address made his pulse jump. Henderson and Lowe, family law attorneys. Inside, a cover letter clipped to thick legal documents. Pursuant to our client, Mrs. Elaine Whitaker's petition. Malik scanned the pages, his eyebrows climbing. Elaine, Doug's wife of 27 years, was filing for divorce. Cited reasons: irreconcilable differences stemming from defendant's documented racial animus and associated criminal conduct. A post-it note fluttered to the floor in Malik's kitchen. Thought you should know. Det. Gutierrez. The West Side Community Center hummed with activity that evening. Malik wiped his palms on his slacks as he waited backstage, reviewing his notes for the panel discussion. Confronting everyday racism, from microaggressions to hate crimes. You look like you're about to face a firing squad. Malik turned to find Miriam Carter, the center's director, smiling at him. At 65, the civil rights veteran moved with the energy of someone half her age. First time speaking, Malik admitted. Most I've done is share my story in workshops. Miriam adjusted his tie. That's why we want you as a regular facilitator. Survivors turned advocates. She snapped her fingers. Nothing more powerful. Before Malik could respond, a commotion erupted near the entrance. Doug stood in the doorway, gripping a stack of paperwork, his eyes darting around the crowded room. The workshop attendees, mostly black and brown teens from local schools, fell silent. Miriam sighed. Right on time for his court-mandated volunteer shift. She patted Malik's shoulder. You'll be supervising him. Doug shuffled boxes in the supply closet like a man serving a prison sentence. Malik leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. They're making me inventory markers, Doug muttered. Like I'm some. Like you're paying your debt. Malik supplied. Doug's jaw clenched, but he kept sorting colored pencils. Malik studied him, the defeated slope of his shoulders, the wedding band tan line still visible. Why'd you do it? The older man froze. For a long moment, Malik thought he wouldn't answer. Then, my dad. He was a cop. Taught me how things worked. Doug picked at a dried glue spot on the shelf. Said certain people needed reminders about their place. Malik's stomach turned. And Elaine. Doug's hand trembled. Her brother married a Puerto Rican girl. She's been different since then. A teen poked their head in. Mr. Washington, they're ready for you. Malik pushed off the wall. Count every marker, Doug. I'll check your work later. Spotlights warmed Malik's face as he approached the podium. He hadn't planned what to say, just spoke from the scar tissue still healing in his chest. 8 months ago, my neighbor carved a racial slur into my car, he began. The room held its breath. But here's what they don't tell you about hate. It's fragile. He described the dashcam footage, the arrest, the way Doug's smug certainty had shattered when confronted with undeniable proof of his own cruelty. Racists aren't monsters under the bed. They're ordinary people who never had to face consequences. Malik's gaze found Doug, slouched in the back. Until now. The applause lasted 3 full minutes. Malik was unlocking his Civic after the event when a voice called out. Hey, you're the guy from the news. A young woman jogged across the street, her curly hair bouncing. I just moved into Doug's old place. Well, his ex-wife's place. She's renting it to me. She stuck out her hand. Nia Johnson. Malik shook it. Malik Washington. Nia grinned. I know. My uncle runs the auto shop that fixed your car. She jerked her thumb toward her building. Elaine said you might need a new parking spot closer to home. Malik blinked. She did. Yeah. Something about making amends. Nia's smile turned sly. Also, I may have promised to key anyone who messes with your ride. Malik burst out laughing. The West Side Community Center's annual report featured Malik on page 3, now a full-time youth coordinator. Doug appeared on page 12, serving meals at the MLK Day breakfast. Malik's Civic, freshly waxed, sat proudly in his spot outside the apartment building. And carved into the sidewalk where Doug once stood watching him, fresh cement, courtesy of city repairs, bearing 2 small handprints, Nia's niece and nephew had accidentally stepped in it during the pour. Malik traced the tiny fingers' marks with his shoe. Growth, he'd learned, came in unexpected forms.